It feels like you'd have to squint and just barely make something out to see the Patriots as underdogs in any playoff game. That's just the way it feels.
Not at this desk. I mean, I've been sitting here all season with the champion of the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. They're an extreme underdog in your eyes, I'm sure, right?
Don't get on the plane, Coach.
They're playing on the road. They're playing Patrick Mahomes. They're playing that vaunted Chiefs offense. I mean, you probably are betting everything you have on this game.
Well, you were encouraging me to bet.
You
told me to put my money where my mouth is.
Based off of how strongly you feel about this team, push it all in. That's what I'm saying. Push it all in.
All right, so we don't have to rehash the who ended up if we want to revisit all our Patrick Mahomes discussions.
No, we should, because that's why they're underdogs.
Okay, well, they're underdogs because they're on the road. They're underdogs because they had a worse record.
True.
They're underdogs because, by most metrics, they are the slightly inferior team. Like, that's why. They're underdogs because in the last 10 combined AFC and NFC Championship games, the home team is 10-0. Like, the Patriots should be just about 3-point underdogs, and they are just about 3-point underdogs. I find it a little rich that the New England Patriots, who have been favored leading into this week in 67 consecutive games, quarterbacked by Tom Brady, and have been underdogs in the playoffs once in the last 11 years, that they're playing the nobody believes in us card. But when for the better part of a decade, everyone has always believed in you, and now there are some people who have the gall to say, you know what, I think the 12-4 team at home is going to beat the 11-5 team on the road. This is the closest. They haven't been able to play this card, see, in 15 years, 16 years. They can now at least credibly a little bit play it, and Brady started it walking off the field. I know we suck and we can't win any games. We'll see. And now Julian Edelman is following in his footsteps.
It will always be a constant theme for Tom Brady, based on didn't have a great college career, got benched for another player. Coach liked another guy more than him. Edelman was a quarterback at Kent State, has developed himself into a pro, one of the best slot receivers on his own. Him and Brady, those two, there's no two closer on New England's team than Brady and Edelman. So, yes, they do have that underdog feel. They utilize it all the time. Now, as a team, the Patriots, no, they're not able to utilize it, but it's one of the low-hanging fruits for NFL, pro sports, high school. Old people disrespect you. Rodney Dangerfield, they don't have respect. Whatever you need to do to be able to get motivated, I know going onto the field, the Patriots will be thinking about this. If we don't play our best football, we will not win. If we don't play better than we've played on the road in our previous 8 road games, and especially that one in Miami that we saw late in the season where they lost a game in the totally not of the Patriot way, where they don't have the right personnel on the field. They got one guy to get tackled to end the game, and they got Rob Gronkowski chasing after a guy that I know if they could be put back in that situation, Gronk wouldn't be the guy chasing them to put him on the ground.
And by the way, if they win that game, this game's in Gillette.
And they're the favorite.
And they're the favorite. And they, you know what I mean? So that is, but do you, I know we joke a bit, but do you think I was or have been overreacting to the idea that this Pats team, of the Pats teams we've seen that have made 8 consecutive AFC Championship games, this Pats team seems the weakest of the bunch? It's not just because they have the worst record of the bunch, the first one to lose 5 games, but because of their inability to win consistently on the road, the blowout losses on the road. The lack of real weaponry in the wide receiving core, do you think that's been unfair of me to say? Now it's comparing them against some great teams, but that this is the weakest Patriot team we've seen in the 2010s?
I feel like every year we go into the season and people talk about how it's the weakest Patriots team, or how Tom Brady is too old, he's all done. And remember with Jimmy Garoppolo, I think I was doing the herd, and Colin was talking about, well, you know, Garoppolo should be in there after Tom had like 1 or 2 bad games. They wanted to move on from him at that point. You know, and as you look throughout the course of the season, whether it's Josh Gordon, who's there and now he's gone, and the receiving core isn't what it was supposed to be. Like, I get why they view themselves as the underdog, and there's been a lot of people who've talked about their demise and how they shouldn't be where they are. So it makes sense why they're taking that
Why
approach.
do you think they're underdogs in this game? Forget being on the road.
Well, I do think that the matchup against this offense for anybody is incredibly challenging.
Yes.
You saw what Patrick Mahomes did in the second half of the game in Gillette. He made one mistake in the first half that really hurt the team, and hopefully he's learned from that. And they're explosive. They're explosive, and defensively, Kansas City is playing better. And New England hasn't played as well on the road as they have at home. So all those things come into play. And look, I think you should bet the gold chain that you have around your neck and
diamond chain, Coach.
and whatever other cash and put it in.
Well, all right. You worry about my personal finances at another day.
Well, I'm trying to help you.
Okay. I do remember us sitting here, and I was very surprised to hear it from you the day after that Pats-Chiefs game. And you said, if they play again, if they play in the playoffs in Kansas City, that Chiefs team can beat the Pats team, and you think would be favored to beat that Pats team. We are now getting that game, and that has been proven out to be true because you saw things in that game that made you more encouraged about Kansas City, a team we didn't know exactly who they were yet because it was so early in the season, than necessarily about New England, even though New England hung 43 on them and got the win.
I was very impressed with how New England was able, with the red zone defense, to slow them down early. But then after that, they just ran out of time. I mean, for them to be able to come back and have the lead late in the fourth quarter in that game, yes, it took him, because I know Belichick, he don't have an answer for that speed. I know the things that hurt the principles of that defense. And if Kansas City can run the football, it will terrify them because they are already committed to a certain number of people to coverage. All right? I'm not going to rush the passer. If I'm the Kelsey side, I'm going to jam him. If Kelsey's all the way outside the numbers, they had Hightower all the way outside the cavity of the defense to be able to jam him and then get back into coverage. Those types of things Bill Belichick hates to do, and they are facing that. And that quarterback, it's not the formations. That quarterback's ability to be able to make plays with his arms and ultimately with his legs, I believe that's how Kansas City has the edge. Kansas City should be the favorite. They're very, very talented, and some of the things that they do, they really hurt the principles of what New England would like to do.
All right, Coach, what do you think, in your opinion, has been the most impressive part of the Patriots' two-run decade here?
Well, the formula is not complicated, but it's really hard. So the idea of having a disciplined team, the idea of having smart players, the idea of committing to work ethic on a consistent basis, those things aren't complicated ideas, but it's really hard to get a group of people to do.
Yes.
And to do consistently. And look, I struggled with it when I had a head coaching job. You've seen other guys from that family struggle with it because it's not for everybody. It's not easy doing
Guys
what they
say they
do.
want to be. I want to learn more football. I want to be coached hard. I want to be driven. I want to get here early. But ultimately, they really don't.
No, it's one of those things where everybody says that they're signing up for what's going to work until it gets difficult, and then it's like, well, maybe I need a player's coach.
Just give us a little peek into what specifically. You said getting there early, working really hard, but what is it when you keep saying not everyone has it specifically?
Well, look, in team meetings, it doesn't matter whether you're Tom Brady. It doesn't matter whether you're the offensive or
Typically
defensive
after a
coordinator.
game, they've probably won.
Well, it's actually any team meeting. So you walk in the morning, and if you did something incorrect in practice, it's on the screen, and it's going to be talked about. The video, and everybody's in the room, and it's going to be coached, and it's going to be coached hard, but it's not personal. It's the idea of we need to fix your problem because your problem affects all of us, and we all need to understand what we have to do collectively to win. And a lot of people can't handle with that public coaching, and it's coaching. So as much as people say they want that, it's different when you get it.
And some of it is as simple as, see, in the last 2 years, how many times they practiced inside?
3 times.
3 times. Some of it is that, really, like, we're outside again. Like, really, the practice balls are wet and scuffed and dirty again. Remember when they signed one of their first big-ticket free agents? I think it was pre-Moss, and I know he was a trade, Adalys Thomas. Adalys Thomas, very successful linebacker from Baltimore. And there was a snowstorm, and he was late for practice, and they sent him home. And he was angry The next day, were you still there when this happened? The next day, he says to the media, he's like, I don't know what they want. Like, hey, my truck got stuck in the snow. What do you want from me? And I think the Patriots said, plan for it. And
wake up earlier.
And it is there is, and so much of the. If you remember, we saw it in Hard Knocks, right? Where Hugh was saying, everybody gets one. That is one team's philosophy. Everybody gets one. The one he was talking about was
it pulled over
the
with a
wide
DUI
receiver.
or something?
It wasn't DUI. He had some weed in the car and didn't tell the team about it.
WII.
And Hugh was like, "That's your one." And Adalius Thomas didn't even get one, stuck in the snow 20 minutes late for work. So it's just a different type of philosophy. And
but it's like in a game. If everybody has one penalty, okay, you have one penalty. Now, collectively, you got a whole lot of penalties. So everybody makes one mental error. There's a whole lot of mental errors.
So if you guys know this, then why is it that when coaches sometimes leave that tree or leave that environment or have no part of the environment but want to emulate that and bring that somewhere else, knowing that not everyone can do it, it's almost as if like you almost do it blindly almost. It's almost like, I'm going to take what I learned there and I'm going to do it here, but not everyone can adapt to it.
But it's not blind. It's a formula that works. It's like taking the recipe for Coke and develop.
But it doesn't work if they don't subscribe to it.
Yeah, Coca-Cola. It works. It's good, but it's not. Owners need to sign up for it. There needs to be time. That it doesn't happen overnight. It's discipline.
This is the problem. I've only met one other person like Bill Belichick in my whole life in all of football. Now, I'm very, very good friends with the guy who mentored him, Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells is not Bill Belichick. And how they went about their formula for winning, it has Parcells stuff in there, but it is Bill Belichick. I have only met two people that have that type of intensity on a daily basis, and they are Nick Saban, and it's genuine. Every day at 6 in the morning, he can talk football, and he's serious about it. He's got a passion for it. He loves teaching football. And the other one is Urban Meyer. Not on the same level as those other two, but he's got an intensity and a passion. Ryan Day, the new head coach at Ohio State, him and I are going over things of how they're going to bring that intensity on a regular day-to-day basis. I talked to the team doctor at Ohio State. He's like, man, we're going to miss Urban. You know the reason why? He pushed the training staff to a higher level, how our players are going to recover, cutting-edge medicine. He pressed every department. And when you leave the family, you don't have that pressure. You don't have it where it is naturally part of your personality. I love being with Coach Mangini. We've been on a couple different networks. We have a great time on television. He's totally different than Saban. Coaches the same way. He's totally different than Belichick. They coach the same way, but their personalities are different. And trying to get the organizational support, that to me is the biggest thing that I have seen an organization able to do it. And you got to give credit to RKK, and that's Robert Kraft, all right? Because he traded away a draft pick for that coach because he wanted that, and he has supported this for over 20 years. He
traded away a draft pick for a coach that nobody wanted. And when we got to New England, everybody thinks that there was some parade that was held.
People were mad.
They were not mad is an understatement. It was every TV show, every radio station, every newspaper, killing us constantly. Then we go 5-11. They couldn't wait to run us out of town.
And this name has not been mentioned in all of this, and I understand we talk about this player a ton, but it can't be forgotten. I think there is, and I will use our friend as an example, Coach Mangini and others who have tried to bring the Patriot way other places, yes, ownership wasn't as patient, and yes, they didn't necessarily have the institutional support. None of them had Tom Brady. And I know Belichick, Brady wasn't Brady in the beginning. I understand it. But as you say, he had some traits, there were some things, and he always took to coaching. Even when he wasn't the superstar, he was the quarterback, and he could get yelled at, and he would get better. And, that is something that's not transferable.
That trait of taking that coaching, and that coaching is special. Because Tom Brady, especially, he didn't go over to play that Seattle was going to run the Super Bowl. He didn't stop practice and tell him, you're going to lose the game if you don't cover this. Bill Belichick did that.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.